This is a brief video about using Georeferencer in QGIS. Basically what we have here is a historic map. This is just a picture, just a scanned map from an atlas from the 1876 Atlas of Allentown, or actually of Lehigh County. This is at the lower edge of Allentown and Salisbury. And we're interested in taking this map, which the map doesn't know where it belongs, and putting it on here where it belongs. Notice over here on the left hand side I have three different layers engaged, and these are different layers that I can use to connect that old map to the new map. So I can turn these on and off as I'm trying to gauge exactly where to put my ground control points. So to start off, what I'm going to do is go to raster, go to Georeferencer. Please note that sometimes this doesn't show up. Go into your plugins and either install it or just activate it. Put a little check mark in the box and it should show up right here. So here we go. And in Georeferencer we're going to add our image. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this button here to connect points on this map to points on this map. Now my first one is, see this diagonal street coming in, and we have a diagonal street coming in right here. So we're going to put a point right there. Okay, this box pops up, asks you what the coordinates of that are. Well, you don't know what they are, but you can go take them from the map canvas. I'm going to put them right there. Okay. All right, now what you're going to have to do is do this with as many points as you can. Sometimes that's easy, sometimes it's particularly difficult. I know, for example, that this structure right here is exactly the same structure that still exists. So I'm going to put a point there, and I'm going to put that point right there. Okay. So now I have two ground control points. I'm just using the scroll to move around. And I think partially because if you click out of it, you have to make sure you click back into this. So I'm going to, let's see, that point right there is the same as that point right there, or at least I think it is. Okay. Zoom back out here. And you're simply going to do that with a bunch of points. Notice right here, which is right at this intersection here. Okay, so notice it looks like this is probably the street, but notice the straight street that goes across there. It's actually this one. You can even see sort of an old property line still there. And note that in the hillshade based upon the LiDAR data, you can also see that historic road right there. Okay, so that's the one we want to use for this road. So that intersection right there is that intersection, right? So our sawmill is right there. I'm going to go right there from map, go there. And some of the other ones are pretty hard. So let's do this. So one of the things before we georeference it, before we actually do it, we want to check our settings. Notice we've got a thin plate spline. There's a number of different ways to do it. I prefer to do this thin plate spline. Nearest neighbor, WGS 84. That's all good. Notice that it always saves it as modified. No compression. So the resultant image, I pulled in a JPEG, the resultant image will actually be a TIFF. And loading QGIS when done. Okay, now it didn't do it, so I have to push play. And it's now georeferencing. Let's hide this. Zoom to layer. So here we go. In order to see how well this fit, we're going to do a couple things. Let's go into properties. I'm going to go into transparency. I'm going to crank it all the way down to 30 or so, maybe even 20. The no data value, we're going to give that 0, and that will get rid of us some of that extra black. Okay, so let's see how well we did. Not particularly well right here. See, those are not following, so we'll have to figure out some way to get another point in there. The hotel's spot on. The road, well, it's a little bit off. So we still have a little bit of work to do in order to georeference this. Notice the streets here are not perfect. Notice there's no bend in the historic street. And that works out pretty well right there. And, well, you now have a nicely georeferenced historic map. We probably should get a few more down in here as well, but we can do that later.